Hi, Susie. Oh, we've got some more coming in. Hi, everyone. Hope you're all doing okay. Quite a few. We're just going to wait a few minutes to get started. See if any more come in. And we'll just give it another minute. Okay, I'm going to get started now. So hi, everyone. Thank you for coming to today's webinar. We are going to focus on an alerts recap. So Will will take you through ad hoc alerts and the reporting available with them, and then also dive into the newsroom push notifications. Then I will share with you some customer use cases. We have a presentation from one of our customers there too. And then we'll finish by handing over to Phil, who will dive into audience targeting for you. So Will's going to start this one off, so I'll pass to him.
Hi everyone, good afternoon. Yeah, thank you for joining today. So yeah, as Emma said, today I'm going to be covering a bit of an alerts recap from myday, to sort of just give you a refresher on what our alerts do and the benefits for them. And we are going to have a look at ad hoc alerts, newsroom alerts, and then also get a closer look at alerts engagement reporting, and also a quite important one, which is managing alert subscriptions. So we're going to start with ad hoc alerts. So what is an ad hoc alert? And they're essentially just a quick direct send alert directly to either a user or a channel. And they basically just allow you to get all that really important information going directly to either a person or a group of people that you need to get information to. So the benefits of this is really it creates this direct line of information going from you guys as administrators to your students, and they're a great way to solve what we call the email problem, which is where users are less likely to interact with their emails. So by pushing this ad hoc alert, you can send that information right to the user and push anything you need. And one really great option with this is the pop-up alert, which you can see popping up at the moment. And this displays the information on the user screen and forces them to actually interact with it. And obviously that interaction, that forced interaction, almost gives a sense of like they have to go through it to be able to progress with what they're doing on myday, which just means that you know that your information is getting at least received in some manner. And to create these, it's really simple. What you want to do is, as you sign into myday, obviously as an administrator with the right permissions, you just need to navigate to the sidebar and find your alerts area. And then when you're in the alerts area, you'll see an option called sending ad hoc alerts. And that is where you create the alert and you send it. And what we'll do is put some documentation in the chat that'll give you a bit more information on how to create this ad hoc alert so that you can go away and try it for yourselves if you haven't already done so. So after ad hoc alerts, we also have newsroom alerts. So what are these newsroom alerts? And as it says here, they're alerts within the myday newsroom app that use to send information to feeds that a user is subscribed to. So the feeds are essentially their feeds that are created by an administrator. That his the feed has some preset audiences determining who this information is going to go to. More importantly, administrators have the option within these feeds to set the importance, as well as being able to set mandatory subscription, and also the option to enable opt-in or opt-out subscriptions depending on the patterns of the posts or the feed. The other really cool thing with the newsroom alerts that I really enjoy is the fact that you have this option to schedule alerts, that we have this newsroom post scheduling, which means that you can set a post to go out on that feed at any date in the future. And you can just rest assured knowing that that information will go out even when you're not in office. You could be away on a sunny holiday, or just maybe you're not feeling well, but you can rest well knowing that all that information that you know is so important to your users is going out when you think it will be going out. And the great thing with this post scheduling is to enable it, all you need to do is go through the same process of creating an alert, and you just simply click that little toggle like you see there, that enable post scheduling toggle. Also, sending newsroom alerts is really simple. All you need to do is, again, with the right permissions as administrator, go into the backstage of the newsroom app. And then what you want to do in there is head to the top bar, and it will say create new. And when you, if you need to create a feed, you just press that create new. Or if not, you just create, you click a feed, which will be on the left in the menu there. Within that feed, you can press that button. It's in the top right, it's bright green. It says post new entry. And that way you get new posts, new alerts being pushed to your across myday and also devices. So now we've sort of spoken about what the alerts are. The next thing is really looking at how well received they are, what they're doing, and how they can be received, and how well you've done with that alerts strategy. What our alerts engagement reporting does is allows you to discover that overall effectiveness of the alerts that you've sent. You can locate individual alerts. You can see where they come from, the date they were sent, all these specifics, and you'll be able to identify key statistics such as the amount of alerts that were delivered, the amount of opens, and the amount of alerts dismissed. And the idea with this is that you really can use this data to have this tangible data to let you know what is working and what isn't. And with that information, the idea is that you should be able to create and build a more successful alert strategy based on seeing what students are engaging with and what they aren't. So the idea in that is to improve success, and the end goal is to make sure that information is clearly given to all your users. So if you haven't used this, I really advise using it. And just to note that this is a part of the enhanced tier. So those that are on this tier, you may have it, and it may just need to be enabled in the features area. So if you're not sure about that, you can ask anyone in the chat. And if you aren't on the tier, then yeah, please get in contact with your CSC, and you can discuss the possibility of maybe having that on your tenancy. Probably one of the more important things, once you've got all your alerts set up, once you've, as an administrator, created your alerts, maybe you've seen how well they're doing, you want to make sure that you are solving one very, very fundamental issue, and that is information overload. It's very easy to get into a situation where information overload takes place. And what we mean by information overload is students, users getting too many notifications, i.e. too much information. And the risk of that is that they're more likely to either turn off notifications within the app, or turn off the app notifications on the device itself. And that means that any informations you do sort of create or push won't be received because users aren't getting any push push notifications. So what we've done in myday, and it is in there, is create this alert subscriptions area, where as a user you will be able to go in and see what you're subscribed to, and have the option to see what you can unsubscribe from or subscribe to, i.e. opt in or opt out, and also what you have to see alerts from, which is mandatory. And what I want to do is just show you where this is. Oh. And if I come up here, so obviously this is the myday dashboard. And what we want to do from this point, assuming this is obviously on the web, you want to come up here and navigate up to this little bell icon. And from that icon, you click see all alerts. And if you come down into this manage alerts area, this is where you'll see that option. So again, just trying to stop that information overload by giving the users more of an option to choose for themselves what they want to see, what they want to get information from, and just to stop them deleting the app or maybe not coming back, and basically improving that retention overall. And it's really cool because you can filter through different things, and I can see from here, okay, that's a newsroom channel that's mandatory, so I can't unsubscribe from that. And I'm subscribed to these ones, but they're all mandatory, so I can't change my alerts, things like that. And you, as a user, you get more power to choose what you hear from within myday. So let me go back to here. On that note, that is essentially everything for alerts and a bit of a catch up. So now what I'll do is I will hand you over to Emma, who will go through some customer use cases.
Yeah, thank you, Will. So as Will said, we're going to do some customer use cases. I've got a higher ed example and a further ed example, so we could make them specific to your different institutions so you can listen to what's more relevant for you. So firstly, we've got our higher ed example of the University of Gloucestershire. So I reached out to Hayley there, and the main reason that they use their ad hoc alerts is for university-wide updates. They like that everyone can receive them at the same time, and they know that they're interacting them, that they don't have a choice, it's popping up on their screen, as opposed to an email where you don't really know when the student's going to read it. They also used it for more targeting communications, specifically their postgraduate recruitment campaign. So to keep up with that intake once they're done with their undergraduate studies, and then also more subject-specific alerts, such as events that may be going on for business students or STEM students. They also have a really good example of how they've used the welcome wizard. So they've recently undergone a redesign of their dashboard, and they've added some tabs at the top. So the first time that a student will enter that newly designed dashboard, the welcome wizard will pop up onto their screen, and it's got arrows on it just directing them through the new layout, what it's for, and how to find their way around it. And then also if they need any help, where to go to with any questions. The next example is of Dudley College. This is a further ed example. And I actually went to visit Dudley College a few weeks ago, and they were showing me all the different alerts that they'd sent out. So they mainly do campus-wide alerts for awareness of campus facilities, such as canteens and catering facilities that are available to them. And also what support in regards to well-being is available to them. They've sent out some really successful alerts for the deals in the restaurants on campus. So, for example, I think it was end of term and they had a load of paninis left over. So they sent out an alert to all students, and time to live was just set at an hour, and within 20 minutes there was a queue outside of this restaurant and they'd completely sold out these paninis. And when you looked at the engagement on that, they've got 6,000 full-time enrolled students, and just with that time to live of an hour, 3,000 of them students read it, really showing how effective the alerts are. And another way they use it is to promote events around campus. And we also have another further ed example from New City College, London. And I'm actually going to hand over to Steve now, and he's going to tell you a bit more himself about how they've utilised the alerts within myday. I think is he. Hi, Steve. Oh, I can see him. I don't know if, can you hear me, Steve? I don't know. Yeah, oh, fab. Second.
Just unmuting myself, sorry.
Oh, no, it's fine.
Okay, yeah, so we've been using alerts extensively, mostly for cross-college announcements. But as it stands at the moment, we get an average of 15,000 messages going out. When we launch a message, it's getting to about 15,000 students at once, and we get engagement of around 10,000 see the message. So we've got we're pretty happy with these figures. I know I am. And we're still working and developing, but we also use for announcing things such as parents' evenings to the parents. So we have about 1,000 parents that respond to messages as well via the alert system. And we're starting to develop a little more sophistication with the newsrooms, which we've not been using quite as extensively as we have been the ad hoc alerts. Plus, we're also in the process of developing a way that we can align the myday engagement alerts with our emergency broadcast system. And that's a piece of work that's being done in the background very quietly by people that beaver away in IT rooms and look at servers. Hopefully that kind of gives you a
yeah. Am I right in thinking you actually saving a lot of money on the SMS?
Yeah, I mean, we were averaging about £10,000 every term on SMS messages, because every time there's an exam, the students will receive 2 or 3 SMS messages in the run-up. When we're doing the enrolment process, we're sending out messages quite regularly to prospective learners and existing learners that are moving on to the next stage. And we're able to do a lot of that engagement through myday now. So we've not had a top up of SMS messages since June was the last time we got a full 10,000. So yeah, we're saving quite a lot. I'm not sure exactly where we are at the moment. We are still using them. Certain areas such as some of the lower level learners, they don't always have smartphones. So we try not to rely on myday in certain areas of the college. But we're still, we're working on it and we're working on them. Between you, me and the gatepost, sometimes I think it might be the teachers that are a little bit nervous of it more than the students.
Yeah. Oh wow, well great. It's great to hear you've got such big cost savings coming from myday. Yeah.
For us as well, we can spend that money on better things.
Yeah, it's ideal. That's what you want to be doing. Yeah. Oh, well, thank you for sharing with everyone, Steve.
No problem.
And hopefully that's given some of the customers on the call an idea of what they can achieve with the alerts. But if you want any more case studies or to even be put in contact with any customers, then please do let us know, because we're always happy to do that. And I'll pass to Phil now.
Thank you very much, Steve and Emma. Excuse me, frog in my throat. Can I share my screen, please? It won't let me take over. Wonderful. Here we go. So, welcome everybody. Let's go back a little bit after what Will's been showing us, because it's always a good time to just look at some of the fundamentals of myday to fully understand and to take some of those powerful benefits of the alert system that Will was talking about earlier. So in this fairly quick section, I expect, we'll explore how those alert features will help with your communication, and then better understand how the content, such as that messaging, can be targeted. So actually, how is this possible? If you understand that, then you can get the help from your colleagues or the different departments to reach the outcome that you're looking for. So let's move on to that. The ability and the effectiveness of everything that Will was showing you depends entirely on having the user and group data in myday before requiring the messaging function in the first place. It's no good something happening and then you kind of maybe in a state of panic to get a message out for everybody if there's something really important, when you hadn't already really digested this section, what I'm telling you, what I'm going to tell you all about, and set up the groups before you need it. So it's good to be proactive about this sort of thing. You're going to have a number of alerts to deal with at times, some aimed at all your users and others that are for particular groups. So the use cases are going to vary, and depending on the source and the desired outcomes from these messages, you're going to want to make sure that you target appropriately. So from campus lockdowns, notices for everyone, to reminders for final year university students to complete the NSS. And in FE, the Learning Resource Centre, giving updates to all college students or advice to students who need help filling in their UCAS forms, and for those students wanting to apply to universities as well. These alerts are targeted to your organisation structure in the ways that are dictated by the groups that you import in, which we'll come on to in a moment. So for the larger messages here, you can see the relationship targeting all of your organisation. And then for those messages with limited groups, you can name those appropriately to the smaller OUs, organisation units, or groups. So you can also take that to the individual using the functionality Will showed you, the ad hoc alerts, and also using direct send, which can be more advanced but very powerful feature. So that the standalone alerts can be delivered to those individuals, really driving home that the student app is going to be the primary vehicle to deliver those all important messages, those things that are really important to those individual students. You see there, my student is very happy that the faculty officer said, "We've received your coursework, you can now kind of relax until the exams come along." Yeah, so that's all possible because of using the records of the users and groups in myday's identity storage. The preferred mechanism for getting these identity objects into myday is using Azure AD. Most of us will know what that is. We've got online documentation which will guide your network administrators and infrastructure managers through configuring the connection to myday and applying filters that make sure that it's the most efficient and effective list of users and groups that are synchronized with myday. So you're not getting empty groups or shells of old historic users that you don't need. It doesn't really affect myday too much if you have them, but it's just from an administrative level, having a nice clean users and groups list in myday will help you and your colleagues responsible for creating content and messages set them to appear for the audience you want. So typically with Azure AD, we map the object ID and on Azure AD with the external ID in myday, and that's the unique identifier. So those two are paired up. So it doesn't really matter what for an existing user in the myday storage if their names change, as long as the object ID is the same as what we've synchronized with the external ID, those other fields will be updated. And that's the beauty of setting up the sync schedule. But in the case where you want to record new users or group memberships or existing users, which aren't already in your Active Directory, and perhaps the other departments in your college or university and your colleagues in network administration can't answer your request, well, we'll say as soon as you need them to, myday also supports the import of a CSV file, which may carry the information you need from another system, like your student record system. We've covered the CSV import step in greater detail, actually, this time last year in January and February's webinar. So if you scan the QR code there with your phone and then hit the link it brings up, then you'll be able to find, it'll quickly take you to those videos. If any of you here on this webinar haven't seen that, it's really good stuff to watch, January's and February's last year. So when you've achieved that, or what you're doing when you achieve using the manual import method, is then you're grabbing the ID that you provided inside your CSV file, or an ID that your student record system has provided, and that will be linked with the ID in myday. So those become the unique identifiers and make sure it synchronizes the correct records with the new groups that you're introducing using your system other than Active Directory. So again, the unique identifier is set, and any changes to existing records like names and emails and the group membership, all importantly, is changed successfully. And these two methods are using our Skim API, and that's a standardized method for the user and provisioning between a number of systems. Any questions on mine or anyone else's presentation today? I know there was a question earlier from Will's presentation. One of our customers asked about a difference between newsroom alerts and newsroom posts. I guess in the language we're using here in our documentation, when you're creating a newsroom feed, it allows you to say push an alert or push a notification when something is posted. So if you opt for that, then your newsroom post becomes an alert or a notification as well. If you choose for your feed to not push notifications, then when you post something new in that feed, it won't create an alert and therefore not a notification. So I think there's the difference in how we use the language there. There's some more messages. Can we access the API for user creation? Yes, you can. So in terms of, I'll just go back one here. In terms of creating users, let's see if I've got, here we go, let's go in administrator and user management. So these are your list of users. So as I said earlier, they come mainly, you would bring these in from Active Directory, but you could also create users from the CSV import method. Is that one? I'm trying to find a local one. Can you see where it says type? Here we go. That is not an AD account, because if you use one that is an AD account, it says Azure AD here. So this is a local account. The ID, if that's provided on the import file, the text file, the CSV, you can import those into myday using the Skim API, yes. And that's used, Tim, that's used by a lot of our colleges to get parents on the system, because parents aren't typically on Active Directory. They don't hold the same kind of Office 365 license. So colleges have that information on another system. They put them on a CSV file. They identify them on a group called parents. And when they import them into this, they will be in the list amongst the standard users who are on a network account, but they will also have a group called parents. Just as I've got a first year one here. Have I got a parents one? I've got a parents one, here you go. So you'd have a group called parents that has not come in from AD, it's coming from another system via a text file. And then you can audience target them with the messages that Will showed you, all the content and the kind of things that Emma and Steve were talking about earlier. Does that answer your question? Or is there any more questions on that? Again, the webinar on January and February last year will go into strict detail about how we use the API and the two ways in which we import the CSV with PowerShell or with an executable that we've provided. So Steve, yes, I know in your presentation and the one that you've done before, you did identify that you could give parents an object or a user object in AD, but without spending a license on them. So they wouldn't have access to the Office 365 or Microsoft, I should say, 365 apps, but they could still use the authentication mechanism of Azure, which will probably work for lots of institutions. Where they haven't got an IT department that can do that for them, probably the CSV import method would work for you. And I have another question on the back of what I've just explained. Can you add groups to existing users? Yes, you can. So here, let me find an Azure AD account. So this is an Azure AD account. On one of my slides, I've shown how the external ID maps with the object ID in myday. There's your object ID here. Okay, so they're interlinked with each other. When you specify this ID in one of the import methods covered in the webinar I keep referring to, you can tell it map more group memberships, because every group also has a group ID. Map this ID of a group with the object ID of an existing user, whether that was imported from Azure AD or through a CSV import, and then you can achieve that. And we did that, the use case for that last year was when universities were coming to us saying, we really need more completions of the NSS. And how can we do it? Because we don't want to put on a dashboard a great big banner that everyone's going to see, and then it has a wallpaper effect. It puts people off. Students in first year don't want to see messages about click here to complete the NSS. So what we did was, because there wasn't a group in AD for final year students, we imported a final year students group. Rather, we created one on here, because you can just click plus and create one. It's here somewhere. F for final year, there we go. So then we grab the ID, and then with one of the import methods that we've recorded in the other webinar, we use that ID and linked it to existing users using their object ID, and then we could assign the final year students to that group. And we would have got that final year student information from another system that isn't Azure, like a student record system. And we could push out alerts or banners that pointed those final year students to the NSS survey. So another customer said it would be good to see examples, no problem, Tim. It'd be good to see examples of arrivals, parent dashboards and portals for another webinar. Great idea. It would be good. We've got some customers who are leading the way on that, some who have started to implement parent dashboards, have gone past the planning stage of deciding what apps and what tiles will appear on the parent dashboard. A lot of it's to do with attendance monitoring for parents, and other tools to look at the data associated with those students who are under the age of 18 and can share that information with the parents to help with their college progress. So we'll take that back, Chris. Thank you for the suggestion. Any more for any more, or do any of my colleagues wish to add anything? No? Okay.
No, it looks like we're all good.
So in that case, next webinar is February. Topic to be discussed. Chris, it might be that, or I might be jumping the gun because I don't plan the content, but we certainly will be looking at the different options and be trying to make sure that the themes here are in line with the academic diary. Of course, we can't tailor for absolutely every diary of all our customers, but we'll try our best to make it pertinent to that time of year. As ever, feedback and suggestions really welcome. Rachel, who runs marketing, who's put this together today, will take this recording, stick it on the customer hub. If you're not already on the customer hub, please join, because then you'll be able to see this recording, and directly under the video recording, you can chat with everyone else who attended and the customers who couldn't attend at this time to talk about the content and continue the conversation after this live event. So thank you all for coming.
Yeah, thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you, everyone. Have a good rest of the day.